Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. I am welcoming you here in Sucre in Bolivia with a beautiful view over the city center of Sucre. I am going to take you through a tour of the city and I'm going to show you a little bit about the history and the must-see places you have to visit when being here. Let's start today's tour. Sucre has actually been founded in 1538 by the Spanish. The Spanish gave the city its name La Ciudad de La Plata, which is because there is one of the richest mines of this area, very close to the city of Sucre. It is closed today, but the Spanish used to explode this mine. Nowadays, the city is known as Sucre, and there's a reason for that. And we are going to explore that reason. Right now, I'm going to tell you how the city of Sucre actually got its name as it has today. We are at one of the main squares here in Sucre, which is the Plaza 25 de Mayo. Here behind me you can see the statue of Antonio José de Sucre, which is actually one of the fighters for the independence of many countries in Latin America. Oh God, I don't like this. Here behind me you can see the statue of Antonio José de Sucre, which is actually one of the founders of the city, or actually he has been one of the fighters for the independence of many countries here in Latin America. And in honor to his fight for the independence, Sucre has the name of the city. Sucre, by the way, has a beautiful city center, but I feel like it is a very busy city. In the historical center, there is a lot of traffic. It is absolutely crazy. It is hard to breathe sometimes. That is also because of the altitude. We are at an altitude of more or less 2,700 meters, but for sure the traffic doesn't make things better here. Sometimes it is a bit stressful to actually just simply cross a street because you kind of have to fight for being able to cross it. I don't feel like there are any rules here. I don't really understand how this works. I feel like I'm always risking my life, but it is what it is. It is loud, it is noisy, lots of traffic. That is the center of Sucre. I just found something really interesting. Actually, there is a German school here, and I found this very interesting because I wasn't expecting to see a German school in Bolivia, but they just told me that here at this school they actually learn German, and I am able to get inside. So I'm going to check out the German school of Sucre. We are now in the German school that has been founded in 1957. I just spoke with the director of the school and she told me a little bit about the history of this place. There have been Germans here in the area of Bolivia who have created this school for their children in 1957. While at the beginning the school has only been made for Germans, later on it was also opened for the upper Bolivian social class. In 1977, the Germans decided to leave the country and they were thinking about closing the school. But instead of closing it, they decided to hand it over to the Catholic Church, to a German cardinal whose name was Maurer. Ever since that moment, the school has been called the German Bolivian School of Sucre. Nowadays, Bolivians learn German here in this school, but also English, of course. It is a private school, but since it is part of the Catholic Church, it is actually quite affordable for a private school here in Bolivia. For me, it was very interesting to see this school because honestly, I've never seen a German school outside of Germany. And also, you can see different parts of the school. For example, here behind me, you can see a newer part that has been created since the school has been growing a lot. Nowadays, there are 1,000 students in the school. And here on this side, for example, we see the rather colonial style of the school. Actually, the streets now seem to be way more quiet. It is a relief, to be honest. It is way more enjoyable to walk in the streets like that, with less traffic, less people. It is in general more quiet. Actually, I think before it was kind of rush hour. It seemed like all the schools were finishing their classes, so everybody was like getting out of school or maybe also work. I don't know, there were a lot of people on the street. Now it is way more relaxed. And you can actually fully enjoy the beauty of the city because the city center is actually beautiful. everything is colored in white. That is also why Sucre has the name of the White City, or La Ciudad Blanca in Spanish, because in the heart of the city everything has to be painted in white. Actually, there are a few houses here in the city center that aren't white but more like a yellowish, and that is because these houses actually have to pay higher taxes here in the city center, because it is obligated to have white houses. Whenever you choose to have like a yellowish building, for example, you have to pay higher taxes. I think this is very interesting, and actually whenever you see a house that is painted in yellow, it is a sign to demonstrate that those people there have the money to pay higher taxes. For example, there has been a hotel over there of 4 stars, meaning it is quite a good hotel. I suppose they have a good income, and that hotel is painted in yellow. We are now about to enter the central market of Sucre. I think here you can probably buy everything from sweets to meat to fruits, clothes, whatever you are looking for. Probably at this place you will be able to find it. Here at this place behind me you can actually try some very typical sandwiches here of Sucre, and they just gave me this piece of pig, they said. I'm not sure what exactly it is. It is meat from a pig and it's really good. So if you want to try a typical sandwich from Sucre, this is where you have to go. So I just found out what I just ate here is ham actually, and they have sandwiches of chorizo here at this place, which are very typical, but they are spicy as far as I know. They told me it's quite spicy and I cannot eat spicy at all, so unfortunately this is nothing that I am going to try today. They sell a lot of meat here. They also sell milanesas that are already finished, so you can basically put them immediately into your pan and cook them and eat them. Quite interesting, this place actually. And there's more cheese, I think. That must be cheese. There are so many typical things from here. A lot of fruits also, sweets, a lot of basically everything that you might need. Something that really calls my attention, that I think is a little bit strange to be honest, because I've never seen it like that, is that they actually eat everything here from the meat of a cow. You can see here behind me, I think it's intestines, I'm not sure, but there's also even the tail of the cow that they sell here at this place. I decided to try one of those fresh juices that are completely natural with a little bit of water. I have one of mango and passion fruit. And it's really good. It cost me a bit more than $1, which is a pretty good price, I think. I was in need of socks, and actually this is the place where I found them. This here is the Plaza Bolivar. Simón Bolívar, which actually, as mentioned before, has been the liberator of 5 countries in Latin America and is therefore a very important historical personality, and therefore almost all cities in Latin America have a Plaza Bolivar, and therefore also Sucre, of course. At this plaza you can see a lot of French influences actually. There is the Eiffel Tower, like a miniature Eiffel Tower that has also been built by Gustave Eiffel, who is the architect of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. And then there's also a construction that is similar to the Arc of Triomphe in Paris as well. So here at the square you can actually see a few French influences as well. As mentioned before, the city has been founded by the Spanish originally, but since there was one of the richest mines of the area here close to Sucre, there were a lot of countries that had interest in the city. I am now in the Metropolitan Cathedral of Sucre. They have a museum that you can enter, and there's something very interesting about this cathedral. Here behind me you can see the Virgen de Guadalupe, which is the richest virgin on earth, because it has a lot of jewels, it has a lot of diamonds and so on, a lot of very expensive diamonds, and it is meant to be worth a lot of money. They say that actually this virgin here behind me can solve a lot of problems of hunger in huge parts of Africa, which is kind of insane. Look what I found. This is actually a real mummy. I just walked down the crypt below the Virgin of Guadalupe, and here you can actually find a mummy of something that used to be an archbishop. It is actually real. I mean, you don't see that much because it's all covered up with clothes and so on, but this is kind of creepy. I've never seen anything like that in real. A very important and very historical building here in Sucre. This is the House of Liberty, or La Casa de la Libertad. In this place, the Declaration of Independence has been signed by the founders of the country of Bolivia. Actually, Sucre is the constitutional capital of Bolivia. Most people think La Paz is the capital, but actually Sucre used to be the first capital of Bolivia, and as of today is still the constitutional capital of the country, while La Paz is the political center and the political capital where the government sits. Here in this House of Liberty you can actually find the copy of the originally signed independence contract. Also in this house you can find a hall of presidents where you can see portraits of all of the former presidents of the country of Bolivia. Starting with the first president, which was Antonio José de Sucre, and ending with the one that Bolivia has until today. Sucre was the first president of Bolivia, but he wasn't able to finish his presidency because he was actually assassinated in Colombia while he wanted to return to his country where he was born, in Venezuela. I just drove a little bit outside of the city center of Sucre to come to this place, which is a park Cretácico, where you can actually see dinosaur footprints. Here behind me you can see a wall where you can see the footprints. I'm not sure if you can already see them from here, from this point in the camera, but this is the place that they found a few years ago. It used to be a place where they produced cement, and while they were taking down the layers to produce cement, at some point they actually found these dinosaur footprints. And obviously they had to stop with the production of cement, at least at this part. But today you can actually visit a park and see those footprints from a little bit closer, and we are going to enter it. We paid 30 bolivianos for the entrance, which is more or less 6 euros. We are about to do a tour. Actually, we arrived just in time because in 10 minutes there's going to start a tour that is starting every day at either 12 or 1, and it'll take us right in front of the footprints. I'm actually very excited to be at a place that is millions of years old and where you can see footprints. I've never seen anything like that in reality. Actually, in Bolivia there are several places where you can see footprints of dinosaurs, but here in Sucre I think it is probably the easiest way to see them because it is so close to the city. We just received our helmets, safety first, and we are now ready to go down in front of the walls to see the footprints from closer. Our guide just explained us that this wall is actually a wall because obviously the earth has been in movement for a very long time, and at the time where the dinosaurs were here in this area, all of this that we have here was completely plain. There was a lake here with sweet water, so it was the perfect area where dinosaurs could get some water, for example. That is why they came here to this place and also left their footprints here. the footprints, they formed into fossils, and that is why we can still see them until today. It is actually a wall because obviously the tectonical plates that we have on our planet, they have been moving over time, forming mountains and so on. For example, the Andes Mountains that are here in Bolivia, where we are currently as well. And these movements have also formed this wall. So once the footprints have been made into fossils, the movements of the tectonical plates formed these walls. And thanks to being fossils, we can actually still see the footprints until today. Here behind me we can, for example, see footprints of carnivores. There were a few dinosaurs here that were carnivores. Most of them that you can see here are herbivores actually, but those ones here were from carnivores. I think it is super interesting and super impressive. We are right in front of the wall. Obviously we aren't allowed to touch it, but it is extremely impressive and very interesting. These footprints are more or less 68 million years old, which is insane and absolutely not possible to imagine that. I feel a little bit like a little kid here. Actually, this is super cool. These footprints that you can see here behind me were from dinosaurs with a long neck. I don't know if any of you has seen Littlefoot as a child. I think I've watched all of the movies and they were one of my favorites. And it is actually super cool to see these footprints in reality right now. It is impressive. I'm not sure if you can see the dimension. You can see the guide standing next to the footprints, and the guide seems tiny actually next to the footprints. It's insane. Unfortunately, my audio failed me here. Sorry about that. But what I said was that I was impressed by the amount of footprints and that this was the very first time that I saw real dinosaur footprints. It's something that doesn't exist that often, and therefore I was super excited to get to know a place like that. Besides that, I mentioned another part of the park where they have figures of dinosaurs in their real size. I feel like it is always super hard to imagine their real size, but walking in between and below these figures was insane and felt super surreal. In general, this was a very fun place and for me absolutely a must if you are in Sucre. Alright, it is now time for us to go back to Sucre, meaning that this was it for today's video. We are at the end of our tour through Sucre. I hope you enjoyed this little tour. I definitely really enjoyed the city. I definitely enjoyed the dinosaur park. That was for sure my personal highlight. I clearly recommend this place if you are in the area of Sucre. It was so much fun and a very unique place to see. Now, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave me a thumbs up because you are going to support my work a lot by doing so. And also, we are not yet done with our adventure here in Bolivia because next week we are actually going to see La Paz. So make sure to subscribe to my channel to not miss out on the next video. See you there!